Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy Newsroom with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Coming up in our headlines, reports of an earth tremor in parts of Accra in the last few hours sends shivers down the spine of many, with some taken to social media to share their experience. We are on X Spaces this afternoon for more. Full academic work to resume in Mepe and other surrounding communities after victims who were taking shelter in the classrooms were given tents yesterday. Plus, should the president be made to pay tax?
When it comes to the payment of tax, we are proposing that, as is always said, that leader by example, our president should pay tax.
We have some views on this for you. Tributes continue to pour in for late Ghanaian footballer star Raphael Jamina, who died yesterday after sustaining a cardiac arrest during a league match in Albania. The Ghana Football Association has described him as a dedicated footballer whose passing is unfortunate. We have details of these plus many more, including business and sports for you. Please stay. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now settle for the details. There are reports of an earth tremor in parts of Accra in the last few hours, with some residents taken to social media to share their experience. An earth tremor is a relatively small or short-lived movement of the earth's surface caused by the same forces that produce earthquakes. Now, the magnitude of that is yet to be known, and there has been no reports of casualties. Earth tremor is currently trending #1 on X or Twitter for Ghana. Let's get on X and read some comments from some people who have been sharing their experience. And we quickly go there now to read some of the comments we have for you. Sheila Irene reads Earth tremor, posted some videos there we can watch. Kofi Rati also says, do you hear the earth tremor? A big question there. At Eddie_right.5 says there are reports of shaking earth tremor in the Gbawe area, and tries to give us some geographical picture of what happened during the time. This is how earth tremor looks like. What happened today was intensive at Weja Gbawe. Yeah. So that's a video shared by Irene on social media, specifically X Spaces, and we will play that to you pretty soon. Yeah. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and the Geographical Survey Authority and UNESCO have been educating the public on what to do in times like this.
It was a normal evening like any other evening. At 7:20 p.m., the land around the coastal areas began to shake. The streets started cracking. Buildings began to lose their balance and fall apart. Trees and objects began to fall. People running for their lives. For about 30 seconds, the earth could not stop shaking. The greatest damage to life and property occurred in Accra, the capital of the Gold Coast. Research has it that although Ghana is far away from the major earthquake zones of the world, it is prone to earthquake disasters within the Accra district and the coastal areas to the east and to the west. Ghana has records of damaging earthquakes dating as far back as 1636. The last three major ones occurred in 1862, 1906, and 1939. So, when the earth shakes, the ground moves and things start to fall. Ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you for an earthquake?
So please, what should one do when there's an earthquake?
To save lives and minimize casualties, one should adhere to the following precautions whenever there is an earthquake. If you are outside, do not run. Walk in the middle of the road and pay attention to falling objects. Avoid overpasses. Power lines. Do not get out of your car or lay next to it. Stay in the car until the shaking stops. If you are indoors, drop down on your knees before the earthquake drops you. Take shelter under any steady furniture, like a bed or a table. Cover your head and neck if possible. Hold on to your shelter until the shaking stops. Stay away from windows and mirrors. If you are trapped, do not move about. Stay calm. Shout till someone comes to your aid. If the trembling or tremor stops and you are able, make your way to an open area. Do not use an elevator. Use the stairs. If you are in the kitchen, move away from refrigerators, stoves, or overhead cabinets. If you are in a wheelchair, stay in it. Move to a safe cover and lock the wheels. Protect your head with your arms. After the shaking stops, look around and mobilize your family. Assist your neighbors, especially the old or handicapped. Open windows and doors in the event of a gas leakage. After an earthquake, do not smoke or light fire to avoid the risk of an explosion. Do not touch fallen power lines. Listen to the radio for safety instructions if you have access to one. Once everything and everyone is safe, get prepared for aftershocks code or care. So, before the earth shakes, the ground moves and things start to fall. Get prepared and practice what you know, because earthquakes can happen anytime, anywhere. Remember to stay safe.
Some education from NADMO on what to do when you witness a tremor or earthquake there. And we are making frantic efforts to speak to Meteo and, of course, the geographical authorities to speak to us on what really happened the last couple of hours. We understand they are gathering data on the field, and as and when we do have them, we shall bring them on to speak to us on the issue. Let's switch topics now to some other stories. Over 300 students of Mepe RC Primary School in the North-Ton district of the Volta region can now reclaim their classrooms for full academic work. This follows the donation of 100 tents to the over 110 flood victims who have been using these or those classrooms as shelters due to the floods induced by the spillage of the Akunsumbo Dam. Donating the items, the founder of the New Africa Foundation, Nana Kwame Bediako alias Jacob Caesar, a Ghanaian businessman and philanthropist, assured the flood victims of his commitment to supporting farmers who have lost their farms with agro inputs to help them bounce back. My colleague Carlos Caloni has more.
Enthusiasm and excitement filled the air as the founder of the New Africa Foundation, Nana Kwame Bediako, alias Jacob Caesar, and his foreign partners from Turkey arrived at the Mepe RC and Agbetikpo basic schools, which are serving as shelters for over 1,000 flood victims. Donating 3 trucks of relief items filled with 100 tents, bags of rice, soft drinks, tissue, plastic bowls, bottles of water, among others, Nana Kwame Bediako also promised to support female victims who have lost their farms to the flood with inputs to help them bounce back.
I know it's very difficult at the moment, but difficult times, it's only remembered when the joyful comes in. And I believe that there's a lot of joy ahead of us at this moment. I hope that this very time should encourage us and inspire us to build our nation again. It shouldn't just pull us down. And I know it's heavy and I understand your pain, but this tells me, and I feel like, yes, there is more we have to do as a country for each other to build ourselves up, and I'm ready to help in any form, in any means necessary that would take this memory away. On that note, I want to say that, I have an industrial revolution that is going on in regions And I want to dedicate my time on Volta, these areas, by feeding a whole woman here and giving them a capital of urea and seedling for farming. I would like to really make sure that there's some factories that are going to come up here so we can do food processing and create employment and start to build this place up again.
Highlighting the need for the Disaster Management Committee to consider a tent city for the flood victims in order to free up the classrooms for academic work, founder of New Africa Foundation, Nana Kwame Bediako, also urged town planners and the leaders of the country to govern well.
Maybe the man have not thought of a tent city could help them move in from the classrooms and free the classrooms for the kids. So I also looked at a lot of people who have supported Ghana, and I realized some of the things that were missing. And then I also brought it to come and help. I think food is important, and we wanted to supply at least 2 containers of food for the people so they can survive in the next couple of months. But I also want to make the country, the government, the town planners aware that it's very important that, we make sure we govern our countries properly in terms of some of these national disasters, So, these people are important. They need to be saved. I don't know, but it's hundreds, as long as there's place for them to sleep. The tent has bed and it has a shower.
Even though grateful for the items, Assistant Headmaster of the Mepe RC Primary School, Amaglo Mauto, said more interventions are needed to fully restore academic work.
Once everybody moves, we have 9 solid classrooms that will be available. Here, the class 4 to class 6 is currently still in the river, and it is just drying up, and we can't do any work there now. So we'll be holding the classes under the trees. But the classrooms, these ones will be available once the victims move out.
Receiving the items on behalf of the flood victims, Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, commended Nana Kwame Bediako, stating that apart from helping decongest the camps, his agro initiative for the flood victims will aid them in bouncing back economically.
I'm really happy about this great initiative, and I want to commend Jacob Caesar. Clearly his visit is a full package. Relief items now. He has also brought lots of tents which will help us ease congestion, but also he has gone beyond just relief items and reducing the congestion. He's looking at livelihoods, and I want to commend him for that agricultural initiative.
Even though floodwaters have receded in many communities, thousands still remain in shelters due to the collapse of their homes. Carlos Caloni, Joy News.
USAID representative in Ghana in charge of agreements, Paul Napari, has urged community members, especially chiefs and parents, to rise up and demand accountability from managers of educational facilities in their localities. He says it is the surest way to get in teachers and managers of such educational facilities desist from taking decisions that will not be beneficial to school children. Paul Napari made the remark at the regional launch of the USAID Ghana Strengthening Accountability in Education Systems project in WA. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The Cooperative Assistance and Relief Everywhere and its partners, Africa's Community Development Alliance, Crown Agents, Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, and the School for Life are implementing the 5-year 50 million cooperative agreement with the Ghana Mission of United States Agency for International Development to assist the Ministry of Education and its allied agencies to strengthen accountability at the basic level. The objective is to strengthen accountability mechanisms in the education sector. Speaking at the regional launch in Tamale, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa, in a speech read on his behalf, said for GS, any offer that would help enhance accountability is welcome.
The education accountability framework. As you are all aware, basic education is key as it forms the foundation that our children will build on. And so for us in GS, such a project that will ensure accountability to improve learning outcomes is a very welcoming one. Ghana has made significant strides to improve access to education and the quality of it. The Ghana Education Service has established various structures from the school level to the national level to enhance accountability. For us in the Ghana Education Service, we welcome any opportunity that will help us strengthen these systems to make them more efficient to improve learning outcomes.
The Northern Regional Minister Shani Alhassan Shaibu, whose speech was read on his behalf by the Regional Planning Office, Enusa Abukari, said Ghana is committed to ensuring a healthy collaborative effort between development partners to achieve the SDG Goal 4.
Indeed, the government of Ghana is committed to ensuring a healthy collaborative effort between development agencies as well as implementing institutions towards the achievement of SDG 4. And the contributions of all stakeholders present here today towards the realization of this vision is highly commendable. Ladies and gentlemen, the USA through USA the implemented partners are adding another feather to their cap as part of the activities to prioritize the education of our children through the launch of the strengthening accountability in Ghana's education system.
The U.S. Education Officer Director, Jonathan Thompson, said the U.S. government was supporting education because they believe an educated society will drive development.
The United States supports basic education in Ghana because we know that education opens doors. A well-educated public will help drive development, individual achievement, and economic prosperity for all. However, such results cannot be achieved without a high-performing and accountable education system. Through the World Bank-funded Gallup, that's Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes Project, the Ministry of Education developed this accountability education framework, education accountability framework that we've been talking about today, to ensure that the education sector is efficiently managed and accountable to who? To the people. USAID's SAGES activity supports this framework by equipping students, teachers, parents, and administrators with the tools they need to foster a culture of excellence, transparency, and
And now, the big question: should the law that exempts the president from paying taxes be changed so that he also pays taxes just like you and I? Well, the Constitutional Review Consultative Committee has been looking at this, and they believe the president must pay taxes to show leadership for all. Newsfile was heavy on that discussion yesterday, and members of the committee were there to share some perspective. Now, John Nwuza is one of them who was seconded from the audit service.
It's the way we compute it. That is why people are talking about it. We have proposed that people come to office at the beginning of the year, for instance, like the parliamentarians, their salaries are not determined from day one. So we are looking at these salaries will be determined from day one when they assume office, as soon as they are nominated as MPs, so that at the end of the day, if something small is given to them, it will not look so big that people may think that, oh, they are taking sums of money home, then that list will also go down a little. So that's what the committee is looking at. Then when it comes to the payment of tax, we are proposing that, as is always said, that leader by example, our presidents should pay tax. You look at the situation through that people end their, still on the Article 71, whether people should end their tenure and we still have to vote for them. I believe that everybody will take that mantle as the first gentleman already may have a place to live. Why should the state also waste resources to also build another house for the person?
Meanwhile, researcher and reform advocate Oliver Bakavomawo says the committee must tread cautiously and close all loopholes.
When you cap ministers at 25, trust me, we are going to have for each minister 15 special advisors. You have to think through how do you tie the hands of the political class. You need to know the beast you're dealing with. If not, you'll be overrun by the way in which the system operates. Unless we can think around the framework of how we tie those in, we're going to create a problem in the long run. The other thing is around the president's appointing powers and we say ministers. Okay. One of the bigger challenges we have consistently is that if Chairman, for instance, is talking about the president appointing 6,000 people, which is a problem, the president's appointing of ministers of all these people does not evolve from the Constitution alone. There are less than 1,000 people appointed by the president directly under the Constitution. The vast majority, it is Parliament which is enlarging the powers of the president through these appointing mechanisms. You have to directly limit what Parliament does in expanding executive and appointing powers of the president. If you don't do that, we are going to move it from ministers and increase appointment on another end.
And to some other stories, the family of two brothers who reportedly died after a team of security officers allegedly launched a gun attack on a community mining site at Tepa say they want justice. The deceased Abdul Ahmed Razak and Ashmel Osman were protecting a mining site with others when the security task force besieged them in a swoop. Now, 4 other persons are said to have sustained injuries, with 2 of them critically wounded. In what appeared to be a raid on illegal miners, the security personnel, numbering about 80, set ablaze mining equipment, including shamfang and other earth-moving equipment at the site.
Friday, no, breaking day, They don't work on the land on Fridays, so they called me yesterday at 10:30. We spoke till around 12 p.m. and they told me they were going to eat and pray. They are Muslims. Within an hour, I received a call from his brother informing me that he has been shot by people from Rapid and anti-robbers. 2 were shot dead, while 3 were injured and hospitalized. When we went there, the police had not yet come for the cops, and they were lying on the ground. One of them was shot at the back of the head, and the bullets came through the forehead. One was also shot in the neck. They stay on site, but they don't work on Fridays. It looked as if they were sent to kill the boys, because they went straight to them. When they arrived, they were eating, so they burned the engines and excavators they work with. Even as the committee at the mine site approached them, the anti-robbers and rapid team started shooting at them. The miners did not possess any weapon. The anti-robbers were about 80, and they came in 10 cars. They shot a lot of bullets, and the last one hit my brother's neck. I want justice.
More from the region, and the Asante-Hene Otumfuo Seitu II is urging households in and around the Ashanti region and corporate Ghana to join in the collective efforts to raise $10 million for the refurbishment of the main G block of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital. Since its establishment nearly 70 years ago, the block housing wards of the hospital has not seen any major facelift, with most installation deteriorating. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku joined political actors, corporate Ghana, and residents at the grand launch of the Hill Akufo-Addo project to solicit funds for the refurbishment of the hospital.
Wide openings of cracks in the ceiling, broken floor tiling, algae-infested washrooms and congested wards. That's the present state of the old block of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital. Since its construction in 1955, the main referral center, serving 12 out of the 16 regions of the country, has not seen any major renovation works. The hospital, with an original 500-bed capacity, now accommodates about 1,200 inpatients at its main ward. At the grand launch of the Hill Akufo-Addo project, CEO of the hospital, Professor Ochoyade Mensah, observed overutilization of the facility contributed to the defects.
The persistent overutilization and consequent wear and tear over the years have led
this hitherto impressive structure in a state that is simply unfit for the provision of contemporary specialist inpatient care services. This dire state of affairs is getting worse by the day, and we are reaching a point where if nothing was done immediately, the old G blocks could soon suffer a catastrophic structural failure with dire consequences for healthcare services in the region.
The Hill Confanoche project seeks to raise $10 million in a public fundraising drive for renovation of the 70-year-old inpatient wards at the hospital. Sharing his experience at the hospital, the Asante-Hene Otumfuo said Tutu prevailed on Ghanaians to join the collective effort to refurbish the facility.
I visited the hospital at night. I came here twice and I was really saddened by what I saw. Confanoche, whom the hospital was named after, was never sick. So the hospital can't be sick. I urge everyone, including households in Ashanti region, to join me raise money for this project. Even 200 Ghana cedis will be appreciated. Let's support this project.
From political actors to corporate Ghana, many took turns to pledge their support for the project with their resources. When completed, the refurbished block would have cutting-edge facilities for quality healthcare delivery. Samuel Edubuachi is the chairman for the project.
Let me say that the Hill Confanoche project should not be seen as a burden, but an opportunity. It is an opportunity to honor our traditions of self-help, community solidarity. It is an opportunity to ensure that our people have access to quality health services. It is an opportunity to leave a legacy and care and compassion for our children and generations yet unborn.
Board chairman of CAF, Nana Efa Apenteng, is promising a judicious use of mobilized funds.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the firm assurance that I would like to give the public in general, and donors in particular, is that the board is fully committed to maintaining a huge level of integrity, transparency and accountability in utilization of the funds that will be raised for the project.
The renovation of the blocks A, B, C and D is expected to be executed as part of the legacy project marking the 25th anniversary celebration of the installment of the Asante-Hene next year. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kwiku.
The work of about 100 women Sheanut pickers in northern Ghana has been made easier by the donation of Sheanut picking rollers under the Savannah Integrated Biodiversity Conservation Initiative known as the SIBCI. Now, the project coordinator, Dr. Assam Mohammed, stated that in addition to enhancing the picking activities of the nut, share picking rollers will minimize the health burden of Sheanut pickers. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Sheanut is one of the agricultural products with the greatest potential for increasing foreign exchange and employment. There is a growing demand on the world market for Sheanuts as well as its byproducts. The shea industry generates employment and income for about 1 million rural women in northern Ghana involved in picking nuts and marketing processed shea kernel and shea butter. Based on the aforementioned and the need to protect the Mori National Park, the University for Development Studies, in partnership with Ghana Wildlife Society, Nature and Development Foundation, and Corporazione per lo Sviluppo DPC, Emergenti, Onlus, COSPI in Italy, received funding from the European Union to implement a project codenamed Savannah Integrated Biodiversity Conservation Initiative, SIBC. The project is aimed to import the implementation of sustainable management of the Mori National Park and peripheral areas implemented under the European Union's PABIO program, which aims at sound management of large landscapes of high biodiversity value. Project coordinator for SIBC, Dr. Assam Mohammed, to shed light on the project.
And this project came from the idea that the Molly Park, sustainable management of the Molly Park has been a challenge in Ghana. And the challenge has always been several attempts to reduce poaching and destruction of the biodiversity of the Molly Park. Then this project came from the idea that sustainable management of the Molly Park would depend on providing alternative livelihood for people whose livelihood depends on the park, particularly the hunters, we call the poachers, and those who do other activities like illegal logging and other activities that are inimical to the park. So in 2009, the idea came and then we proposed this to the European Union. And the European Union gladly provided funding for 4 years for these activities.
100 women share pickets drawn from Mankurugu in North Gonja, Tantale in Mankurugu Maduri, and Bulenge in the Wise districts were given Sheanut picking rollers, basins, and cutlass to aid in their work.
Yeah, so this particular equipment that we have given to them is to enhance their picking. As we're demonstrating, you see that it increases your capacity to pick more than 10%, 10 times. So if we're picking 1 bag per year, you'd have been picking about 10 bags. And by a multiplier effect, you'll be making so much money because a bag of Sheanut now is about 300 to 400 cedis. And if you can pick more because of this machine that we have given to them, in a way, you are enhancing your income as a woman. They used to bend down and have to go down for several hours to pick a bull. Now you are standing up with the instrument, and then your issues of your waist pains and other things will reduce. In the same way, also going into the forest, you be giving them cutlasses. In that case, you'll be able to clear, so you will not be endangered by snakes and other reptiles.
Project coordinator at the Wildlife Society, Solomon Kanyensu, whose outfit is the leading partner in the project, is happy with the provision of skills training and equipment to the women share pickers, adding it will go a long way to ward them off from doing anything untoward at the Molly National Park.
We believe that it is when the communities are economically empowered that they will stay out of the resources within the park, because they live close to the park, the resources are there, very close to them. So if you don't provide them with economic and alternative livelihood, the only alternative for them to survive is to enter the park. And for us as an NGO and conservation organization, our focus is to ensure that communities are empowered economically so that they stay out of the resources.
Leader of the beneficial women share pickers, Ladira Joyce, on behalf of her colleagues, thanked the donors for the training and equipment. She said it will go a long way to aid in their work. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Bulenge.
Back in the capital, it is unclear whether the Fix the Country demonstrators will be permitted to demonstrate in front of the Jubilee House every day in December. Now, Fix the Country protesters say the police has asked them to either postpone or relocate the planned demonstration. Kwekwasante has more.
Well, according to this press statement put out by Democracy Hub, they say that they were in contact with the Ghana Police Service about their intended, what they call Occupy Jubilee House 2.0 in December. They intended to protest from the 1st of December out to the 31st of December. If you look at this statement, Ghana Police has told them that they are unable to give them security because of the Christmas festivities and other logistical constraints. Let me quote what they say. It says, Democracy Hub, conveners of Fix the Country and Occupy Jubilee House have received a letter from the Ghana Police Service on behalf of the IGP regarding the upcoming Occupy Jubilee House protest scheduled for December. In their letter, the Ghana Police Service expressed an inability to provide protection to the protesters during their Christmas and New Year festivities, citing what they say is their intentional lumping up of well-meaning citizens protesting about the continuous hardship in our motherland and the need for constitutional reform. So, Fix the Country and Democracy Hub does not put out a letter that was written by the police, but they quote them in this statement and argue that the police have been telling them that because of the Christmas festivities and the need to deploy security to various flashpoints in the capital and other places, it may not be able to provide security for that protest. Occupy Ghana, Occupy Jubilee House protest, and Democracy Hub actually also wrote again to the Ghana Police Service regarding a meeting to discuss this. And we have just seen a letter that has been posted on the Facebook page of one of the conveners of Democracy Hub, Baka Vomawo, where the police says they cannot hold that meeting again also because of certain restraints. So 2 things, the protest scheduled for December, according to the police, they cannot provide security. The protesters write back to the police demanding a meeting so that they can discuss those details. The police again write back to them saying that because of certain logistical and operational restraints, they are unable to meet them for the protest. But Face the Country say that they are going to go ahead with their December protest and nothing is going to stop them.
So watching Joy Newsroom. The consultative review meeting is proposing a significant overhaul, suggesting a cap of 25 ministers and the removal of all deputies and regional ministers, aiming to address the current excess of over 100 ministers. Additionally, the committee is considering the implementation of a cap on the number of constituencies as part of its comprehensive reform agenda. That's just a few of reforms the committee is considering. Listen to Chair of the Constitutional Review Consultative Committee, Clara Berry Kasati, and a member of the committee, Anthony Forson Jr., speaking on his file.
We are even talking about removal of all deputy ministers.
Really?
Yes.
What's the basis for that suggestion?
We are cutting down the size of government.
So we cap the ministers. Our recommendation is to cap ministers at 25.
25.
Not more than 25. Ghana doesn't need more than 25 ministers to run.
Interesting.
Revolutionary.
25 ministers.
Yes. No deputy ministers.
No deputies.
No. And it's capped.
Yes.
It's not in a situation like where Akufo-Addo, surprised all of us. 126 ministers.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And constituencies too should be capped. Now we have already have
275 with the possibility of 276 with SAL.
Exactly.
Yes. And there has been a debate that we have known for a long while now that people were actually lacing their boots for a total of 25 new constituencies to be created.
The EC has come out to say that
yes, I get it.
Only one.
Yes, I get it. Yeah. You are saying it should be capped.
It should be capped. We don't need more than 277 constituencies.
So for Parliament, you are not asking for a reduced number. You want it to stay at where it is.
It's almost impossible. It will be very difficult to reduce it. If we say that let's reduce it, I mean the acrimony. So which one will be the lesser evil? Cap it.
Cap it. Mm. But the interesting point is the deputy ministers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All will go.
Why?
Regional ministers too, all will go.
Oh.
Constitutional theorist Dr. Mame Mansa Bonso has charged the Office of the Special Prosecutor and other relevant state institutions to take up the challenge and investigate cases of vote buying. In the gone-by Presidential Delegates Conference, delegates confessed to receiving at least 300 cedis from candidates. Many outside the NPP have criticized that. The associate professor at Ashesi University, Dr. Mame Mansa Bonso, says state bodies like the OSP must be interested in that space.
We have, how many years has IOCO, SFO, I've forgotten they changed their name now, the OSP, the asset declaration regime, we can set up institutions and legislations until we are blue in the face. First of all, after all these years, have we checked to see if these institutions' workings has somehow led to a decline in corruption in the public services? What's the data? A political party, by definition, is a public institution. We don't have any control over how people fund their birthday parties. There's a reason we talk about how political parties are funded and how political parties operate, because they serve a public function. So by virtue of them being a public entity, every institution that has supervisory control over public entities has jurisdiction over them. So if the OSP were minded to, it should be no bar to him that it is an internal matter of a public body. But even if we were going to, concede that argument, if you spend 80 million CDs trying to get people to vote for you, I think that figure qualifies as an organized or economic crime. So I think that if nobody else has jurisdiction, IOCO should. Because people are hauled before Yoko for much smaller sums. I want us to think about the idea of a cake. What is a cake and what is it for? Right? There's no such thing as growing a cake. We eat it. Yes. We cut it up, we disappear it completely. Now, when you go to a function and they're going to cut the cake, nobody at the function asks, where did the ingredients of the cake come from? How are we going to rebake this cake? The point I'm making here is that the way we think about our nation is predatory. We think of a national cake, it means we think we are going to eat it up. Yes. So if we finish the cake, we will have nothing left. And as long as we think of our country as something to be consumed, we're going to get nothing more than what we have now.
Conditions on the stalled Obeche-Bilamte interchange project site in Accra is worsening for users and those doing business within the Abossey-Okai, Kaneshie and the Graphic Road enclave. Now, gaping potholes, dust during dry conditions, stagnant waters and muds during wet conditions are making life unbearable for road users and traders. My colleague Kwesi Kwate-Nadei returns to the project site 4 months after our last visit and finds that conditions are deteriorating. Here's his report.
The Obeche-Bilamte interchange is the main access road to the central business district of Accra. It is also the access road to the famous Abossey-Okai spare parts market, as well as Ghana's premier and biggest health facility, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. President Akufo-Addo cut sword for the construction of the $135 million project in October 2019 to help ease traffic and reduce commuting time to the hospital and other parts of the city. But the poor state of the road is negating this objective. The halting of the project is believed to be in relation to Ghana's IMF program. Since the situation has been worsening, potholes here have become bigger, making it almost impossible for drivers to maneuver the roads under the interchange. This results in huge traffic jam around the area. The situation has been worsened by muddy conditions and stagnant waters collected in these gaping potholes. Road users say this is affecting travel and business. Drivers say they are forced to incur huge maintenance costs due to the damage caused to their vehicles.
I'm just coming from the market to get some spare parts. And then, you work, you get money and use it to buy spare parts all the time. And it's right in the boot. Oh, drivers complain a lot. And then sometimes too, the passengers too, they used to complain because as the car is shaking up and down like that, some are complaining their ways. Ghana is old, like 60 years and above, and we are still constructing roads. I don't get it.
The situation is even worse for those who trade within the enclave. Both wet and dry conditions have some impact on them.
Because they haven't finished the road, a lot of traffic. When you go to the central box, a lot of traffic. Most of the times, it got an accident. You understand? A lot of traffic, and people cannot get car instantly because the road are not completed. The business will move very slowly because, example, someone want to come in and come and buy some parts. He have to park the car outside, walk distance before coming. Maybe the time that the person will come, people are just closing, and it will affect me. It will affect the person too as well. Secondly, the dusty. Very lucky for us that today it have rained. You can see from here. You can see from here, it has rained today, so it will save us. But if it dries, we can't pass here unless you put on the nose mask. As soon as you put on the nose mask, your eyes, definitely it will go there. Those are selling the food. The dust will just go there because of our health. That's why you want to eat very good food so that you get energy or strength to work. But whereby there's a dust there, the dust will just entering the food.
The nature of the road is not very good to us. It does not help us in any way, especially those trading around the area. Full of dust, and the road itself is not very good. So we don't feel comfortable here. So we are pleading to the government through this media that they can accelerate the work so we can also get some relief in the course of time.
The dilapidated roads at the interchange has become very treacherous to navigate, posing risks to drivers and passengers. The users are calling on government to, as a stopgap measure, grade and regularly water the road as they await the final completion. Kwesi Adai Kwartens reports for Joy News.
You're still watching Joy Newsroom. We've got more stories for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Joy Newsroom. Let's take some business story. And accounting firm KPMG has expressed its commitment to engage students in the second cycle institutions to appreciate the accounting profession and the opportunities it presents. Speaking to Joy Business at a career guidance fair organized by the firm, senior manager at KPMG, Patience Jikunu, said the move will encourage students to pursue accounting-related roles. There is more in this report.
International Accounting Day has been celebrated since 1972. Accounting professionals around the globe organize various sensitization programs and outreaches to build interest in the accounting profession. As part of activities to celebrate the day in Ghana, accounting firm KPMG has organized a Career Guidance Day at the St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School. Speaking at the ceremony, senior manager at KPMG, Patience Jikunu, called on accountants to maintain high ethical standards in their service delivery.
As we celebrate International Accounting Day, we're encouraging all accountants out there to take their profession seriously in terms of integrity. With the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the motto is integrity. So whatever we do, we should ensure that we are holding up the values of our profession. With KPMG this week, we are celebrating the Global Values Week. As you can see, we're talking about courage, excellence, integrity, and whatever we do for better, together for better. In all that we do as professionals, we must ensure that we uphold the profession of integrity.
This is what the initiative hopes to achieve.
We are actually visiting the senior high schools to make an impact with respect to the business profession. We realize that a lot of the students are concentrating on the sciences, and we have been told, the teachers have told us, that the business students are dwindling in the senior high schools. So our message to them is to encourage them to take up the accounting profession, because with accountancy they can veer into various fields. Being a chartered accountant doesn't just make you an accountant and ends there. There are various other professions that you can veer into after becoming a chartered accountant. Even law. I mean, yesterday when in our session we had someone who said they were accountants, but they had veered into medicine. So with the accounting profession, it's basically open and opens up avenues for various other professions that you can veer into in IT, engineering, internal auditing.
In Oklabi, a student of the school was full of praise for KPMG.
If you want to become an ACCA, you must get a mentor to give you the guidelines to achieve your aim. And secondly, we are told to take our studies seriously. So it's good for them to doing more of this, more and more of this, so that to impact, to give us the passion of becoming a chartered accountant in future.
And to some sports news, really sad one at that, and former Black Stars forward Raphael Jabeda has died after suffering a cardiac attack in a league game on Saturday, November 11. The 28-year-old lost consciousness in the 23rd minute during the league match between his side, Agnetia, and Partizan, and was immediately taken to the hospital. Jamina, however, did not survive upon arrival at the hospital, leading to the unfortunate incident. His death was subsequently confirmed by the Albanian Football Association through a statement minutes after the incident, and the Ghana Football Association also confirmed the news with a statement on their social media platforms. And that said, for the...
But his well-documented heart problems threatened his international football career and cut short his time at the top of the sport. in the 23rd minute of a football match he featured in Albania for his club side, Ignatia. Rafael Dramina is seen on video falling to the ground unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital but did not make it. Team doctor of the Black Stars, Dr. Prince Pambo, in a 2021 interview with Joy Sports, had advised the footballer to consider retiring due to his heart complications.
If Dramina is my patient, I will sit Dramina down and probably call a year or two off to deeply go into whatever problem it is. And probably I will be tilted towards wanting to prepare him very well for a beautiful retirement from sports.
Tributes are now pouring in, with his former club, FC Zurich, sending their condolences on X, formerly Twitter. Quote, FC Zurich mourns Rafael Dramina. Rest in peace, Rafael Dramina. You will always be one of us, the club wrote. The Ghana Football Association also said in a statement, quote, our thoughts are with the family of Rafael Dramina at this difficult time. Rafael represented Ghana wholeheartedly and paid his dues to the country till his unfortunate passing. We will forever miss him for his dedication to the national cause. Rest in peace, Rafael. His most recent setback came in 2021 when he collapsed while playing in a cup game for the Austrian club, BW Linz.
And that's it for sports. I am Pius Kojubaka. Thanks so much for your company. The law is next. Do enjoy. Bye.